Iowa General Assembly began its 2021 session Monday, January 11th, with opening remarks by Republican and Democratic leaders in both the Senate and House. The GOP has the majority in both chambers, 31 of the 50 seats in the Senate and 59 of the 100 seats in the House. Monday's sessions in both chambers consisted of opening remarks by both political parties.
Back to normal has been the finish line frequently proclaimed in the midst of our universal disruption. But today we have a choice. Today we can choose to go back to life as normal, or we can choose to work, sacrifice, and endure for a better life, a better tomorrow, a better Iowa. The assault on the defenseless has silenced over 60 million Americans since 1973, and that number mounts every day. This legislative body has stood courageously for the life of the unborn. Regrettably, 5 unelected judges, with the stroke of a pen, fabricated a constitutional right to an abortion under Iowa's Constitution. This egregious usurpation of power will not be left unchecked.
Senate Minority Leader Democrat Zach Wahls focused on the COVID pandemic and called for a bipartisan Blue Ribbon Commission to study Iowa's response to the virus.
Spared as the coronavirus spread unchecked in Iowa. We must help those who are hurting by using federal monies, our budget surplus, and the Economic Emergency Fund to help everyday Iowans. We can give frontline healthcare workers a raise even if they can't take a day off. We can ensure other essential workers have access to COVID-19 testing, contact tracing, and PPE. We can continue to support struggling small businesses on Main Street. We can help our cities and towns which have borne the brunt of this crisis, and we can give food banks the aid they so desperately need, because since last March, the number of Iowa families with children experiencing food insecurity has tripled.
House Speaker Republican Pat Grassley noted Iowa's past legislative successes, but he said inadequate child care existed even before the COVID pandemic, and it has worsened due to the virus. He also urged efforts to get Iowa's children back to their classrooms.
One final thing I know many of our members heard as they talked with their constituents was the absolute necessity to get our children back in the classroom. Some schools have taken every effort to provide in-person learning, but in some areas of the state, parents and students who wanted to be back in school were met with, at best, a lack of responsiveness, and at worst, outright contempt. Students are being trapped in situations that aren't what's best for them. It's time for parents to take back the control of deciding what's best for their children. Let's be clear, getting our kids back in the classroom is critical to their mental health and well-being. This should be one of the legislature's top priorities to ensure that every family that wants 100% in learning has access to it.
House Minority Leader Todd Pritchard took special aim at those Republicans who he said were complicit in claims by President Trump of voter fraud.
As an elected leader, I am disgusted at the reaction, or rather the inaction, of some and many of my Republican colleagues here in Iowa. For too long, politicians have not only enabled, but served as a willing partner in the spread of misinformation about election fraud. Silence is deafening. If you cannot condemn this violence against our democracy in our capital, what will you condemn? Until you have committed yourself to truth and democratic ideals, you lose any moral high ground that you may try to claim.
On Tuesday, Iowa Republican Governor Kim Reynolds presented her fourth condition of the state message to a joint session of the legislature.
It's been a year, and I'll let you fill in whatever adjective you want. COVID-19, civil unrest, a drought, a derecho. We've been beaten and battered in about every way imaginable, and some unimaginable. But together, we've met every challenge with bravery and outright grit. Every year I've been governor, I've focused on expanding broadband to every community. And we're making progress, but not enough. This is the time for bold action and leadership. Let's plant a stake in the ground and declare that every part of Iowa will have affordable high-speed broadband by 2025. So let's remove the obstacles to high-quality, affordable childcare so that Iowa families can nurture their kids while parents maintain the maximum freedom to enter and remain in the workforce. As our economy comes back, we're again facing a familiar problem. More job openings than there are people who have the skills to fill them. And that's why we need to continue the work we started with Future Ready Iowa, a program that's designed to increase the number of Iowans with education or training beyond high school. There's a lot to do this year, but if we tackle issues like broadband, childcare, workforce training, and affordable housing, we'll set Iowa on a solid path of economic prosperity for years to come.
Following Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, January 18th, Week 2 of the Iowa General Assembly begins Tuesday, the 19th.